Hello, time for another vlog. I'm going to talk a bit about enlightenment in this one, but first a bit about stuff. I don't know. It's summer basically in Britain, which means that the weather's not quite so cold. It's kind of, we're getting like 3 or 4 days of good sunshine, followed by 3 or 4 days of miserable cold rain and stuff, which is quite good for this country. It looks like it might be a relatively good summer. Global warming be praised, perhaps, I don't know. Though I think the long-term forecast for global warming is that this country will get colder, because the warm currents in the oceans in the Atlantic Ocean will move further south, away from Britain. So that could be a bit of a problem. We'll lose 5 degrees if that happens. Celsius, so 18 degrees Fahrenheit, quite a chunk. No, 9 degrees Fahrenheit. But at the moment, it's not bad. It's a sunny day today. It's not all that warm though. I mean, some mornings it's very cold. Was it a week ago or maybe a bit longer? First thing in the morning it was 4 degrees Celsius outside. That is about 40 Fahrenheit. Really cold. Now it's gone up to about 8 first thing in the morning, maybe 10. So the air hasn't warmed up yet. We're still getting cold air from somewhere. But if the sun's out in the afternoon, it can get up to about 20, 21. That's about 70 Fahrenheit. It's okay. That's not bad. Quite a range on the day, though. You never quite know what to wear, but that's true in this country all the time. Whatever the forecast is, you've got to think, is it going to rain at some point? Or is it going to be freezing cold? And like at this time of year, it's often freezing cold in the morning and boiling hot later on in the day. So if you're going to be out, what do you wear? Bit difficult. I usually brave the cold if I'm going to be indoors. But not if it's too cold. You can't do that. So that's summer. There you go. I wanted to talk a bit about what's coming up on the channel. Probably I'll be doing more sightseeing videos, because if it's going to be sunny for 3 or 4 days at a stretch every now and then, there's a fair chance that it'll be sunny at the weekends when I can get out with the camera and walk around a bit. I've been doing the City of London, and I've got maybe 1 or 2 more to do there. Otherwise I thought I might look around Victoria or Buckingham Palace, that sort of area. Have a look at those places. Or if you've got some suggestions for places you might like to see me do a sightseeing wander around, then leave it in the comment below, and I'll see what I can do. Some places require money to go in, and some places don't allow you to film inside as well. So, well, make the suggestions and I'll see what I can do, basically. It's easiest if it's in London, but, well, I can get out and about a bit sometimes, so whatever, we'll figure it out, okay? I'm doing Skyrim playthrough at the moment, so I'm going to carry on with that. I might interrupt it for other games every now and then, but I want to try and get through the lot. But if I find that I'm just being killed all the time and I can't get anywhere, then I'll stop, probably. But at the moment, although I am getting killed all the time, I'm still making progress. So, we'll see. I'm also going to experiment maybe with Twitch streaming, because my Elgato card that I'm using, the Elgato HD60 Pro, can do streaming at the same time. So I might try just streaming to Twitch just as an experiment. I don't know if it will reduce the recording quality or not. It might put a bit of a strain on the computer, so I've got to just try it and see. Because it might get me some more subscribers. People might be preferring to watch it on Twitch. I don't know. Got about 1,060 subscribers as I record this at the moment. So it's still sort of ticking upwards slowly, which is nice. I might try doing some collaboration videos with other YouTubers at some point. But my channel isn't that commercial, so I don't know if it's going to actually work out. Right. So with a view to collaborating, I've got to go and meet other YouTubers. So I'm going to go to the London Small YouTubers get together, which is today. It's most, or quite a few Saturdays in the year. I've been there before a few times, and they chat about YouTube, you know. And it's a good way to meet other YouTubers. So I'm usually busy on Saturdays, like recording videos, but I mean the weekend is the only time you can do this sort of thing anyway, so I might go along and see. However, today is the day of the royal wedding of Prince Headache and Migraine Merkal, right? Our dear Queen is spending the equivalent of $45.5 million on the wedding. However, they think it's going to earn about $500 million from all the rebroadcast rights and souvenirs and I don't know what. So it's profitable to have a royal family. I mean, people love it. I don't know them, so I'm not going to be watching it. I'm not interested, actually. Good for them, but I don't know. It's a girly thing, I suppose. I wouldn't say I'm not a royalist. I'm more of a Republican. I mean, the idea of having hereditary rule is just ridiculous. There's no guarantee that a given monarch is going to be any good. Obviously. And I know people want to keep it in the family. If you've got money and power, you want to make sure it's inherited to your descendants. This is an instinctual thing. But it's no way to rule a country, really. Although it kind of works in this country, because the monarchy has power, but it's behind the scenes power. They can't really exercise it openly much. They can depose the odd governor general, or they can depose parliaments in any of the Commonwealth countries if they want to force an election, and it happens occasionally. The last one I know about was in Australia about 20 years ago, where the governor general, who operates on behalf of the Queen, dissolved Parliament and forced an election. It can happen. The Queen also basically is the ruler of the army, because they swear allegiance to the Queen, to the Crown, and not to Parliament. The Queen also owns all the property, all land in the kingdom, United Kingdom, as well. Although we have freehold, where we are the owners, supposedly, in fact, Parliament can compulsorily purchase anything on behalf of the Crown. So the final owner is Her Majesty. But there are properties that they own in the same sense that we do as well. So a lot of Cornwall is part of the Duchy of Cornwall, owned by the Prince of Wales, Charles. But at least he makes good lemon curd jam on his farms for putting on toast. But how would you rule a country? I don't know, some sort of meritocracy, I suppose. Obviously, if it's a meritocracy, politicians would have to be banned, though. So, yeah, I don't know. Democratic rule is kind of okay, but it does lead to a sort of a dumbing down of the system, and pandering to the lowest common denominator, which maybe would be okay if the lowest common denominator were raised up. But if you just pander to them without raising up the worst, then it's a long-term recipe for disaster, I think. But what can we do? Got to have something. So it's a system, and it's going to change from time to time. Right now it's okay, but going off the rails. We'll see. Now, Enlightenment, I've had a few more thoughts about it. Thinking isn't the way, because it's non-thinking is when you're enlightened, really. But it does help to get some understanding if your mind is cooperative on that level. I've said before that the enlightened state is essentially when your mind is quiet, because you are just being. You're not thinking about the future or the past. You're not thinking about making things better or aggrandizing yourself or making yourself look better in the eyes of others, which really is behind most of the thinking, even though most of what we think, when you listen to it, is garbage. I'm speaking for myself. Maybe your thinking is all clever stuff. I don't know. I doubt it. When I listen to my thinking, it's a lot of trivial nonsense, really. But behind most of it is an attempt to look better to other people, to make myself look more superior. And I think that's the way with nearly all humans. And the Buddha spoke of the state as a state of not doing, and Buddhists talk about not doing quite a lot. I think that perhaps a clearer way to state that is not trying. Not trying to be something that you are not. As I say, most thoughts, although they may be about trivial nonsense, behind it all, the fundamental motivation behind them is to try and make yourself look better than other people, and make yourself look better to other people. Self-aggrandizement. That's kind of what's behind a lot of the thinking. I mean, some thinking is purely practical, but it's a minority, I think. Because most of the time we don't need to be thinking hard about what we're doing. So, if you think of it as not trying, again, when you are not trying to be more than you are, also your mind is quiet at those times as well. Because you don't need to be working on it and stressing yourself out. People ask, and it's a natural question, but if I'm not trying to be better, doesn't that mean I'll just, like, deteriorate? No. You're not trying... It's not about trying to be better, or not trying to be better. It's about not trying to be better than other people. So it's not about not trying to be an improved version of yourself. It's about not trying to be improved in the eyes of other people. Sure, you can learn new skills if there's a practical reason to do so, and if you just like doing it, and if you think it'll be helpful to you, fine. But if part of that motivation is about being superior to others, or making you look better in the eyes of others, that is the impure motive that is the problem. It's this ego, how do I look to others? That motivation is what ruins everything, it seems. So you can just stop the thinking, or just ignore it, as the case may be, and just be. And you can still improve and still learn stuff and so on, but without the added hassle of comparing yourself to others. Just be what you are. It's no use worrying about what you are not, and it's no use worrying about what is not, because you will not be at some point too, anyway. So, don't worry about it. As far as quietening the mind is concerned, you can meditate on breathing, on the sensations in your body, the sense of being, the ambient sounds around you. Just at any time, you can just stop the thinking and listen to what's going on around you. Now, stopping thinking is not what enlightenment is about as such, but it's the way into being who you are. Because you get identified with the mind, that is, you think the thoughts are you thinking. But it's not, it's just an object in your awareness. And it's a stress-making one as well. So the point of quietening it is just so you can get used to just being actually. Listen to ambient sounds, feel the sensations in your body, and notice how often your mind starts up again, usually after a few seconds. And eventually you can get to the state where your mind can babble away and you don't pay attention to it anymore. You don't take it seriously. It's there, it's chatting, it's talking, it's garbage, and you're like, thinking about that stuff again, eh? So what? Yeah. And you don't take it seriously, you don't get depressed by it, you don't get stressed by it, because you realise it's just a narration machine doing its job. Just leave it. It's like your heart pumping. You don't have to pay attention to that all the time either. Indeed, it's fully automatic, thankfully, or nearly. Same with breathing. The mind is about as hard to control as breathing. So when you've learned to quieten it often and at will, at least for short periods, eventually that will become your default state, and that is, you can then describe yourself, if you like, as enlightened. But you can enter the state at any time just by quietening down and, as Eckhart Tolle says in his book The Power of Now, taking the exit. Listen to the sounds, feel the sensations, as he puts it, feel the life energy in your body. I interpret that as sensations. He tends to like to phrase things in a bit of a mystical way, but it's the same. And don't try to be other than what you are. Don't try to impress other people. Don't try to do any of that stuff. Take the pressure off, just be, and you'll be in state. And practice it often, when you're on the tube, when you're on the bus, possibly not when you're driving because you need to concentrate, okay? But pretty much any time when you're walking you can certainly do it. And the more you do it, the sooner it will become a default state. Your brain will gradually understand what you're up to and reprogram. And when it has done so and it becomes automatic for you, you're there. I'm not there yet, but I can get into state more or less right away at any time, for a while. A couple of minutes, a minute maybe, a few seconds sometimes. Sometimes I find if I've got a bit of a migraine, the mind is much harder to quieten down, and I'll take a tablet or something to. That seems to work. I don't know what it is. It must be to do with the blood flow in the brain, and I think for people who are suffering from depression, biochemical conditions can make it tough to do, but I think it will still help to do this, and I think it's probably as good, if not better, than cognitive behavioural therapy, because it's taking it further. In CBT you learn to think positive, basically, and not think negative. You're training your mind. And with Enlightenment you realise that actually, positive or negative, it's all the same. It's largely garbage anyway. Any questions? Stick them in the comments. If you have ideas for more I can say about it, well, maybe your questions will prompt ideas, I don't know. That's it for today. Bye for now.